TikTok is a platform that needs no introduction. With its combination of the dancing and songs of Musical.ly and the memes and humor of Vine, it was only natural that such a place would explode in popularity and become one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. It was also only natural that such a place would attract those who want fame, but when they get it, it turns them into a whole different person. You may know people like this online. There are countless examples, but one of the most tragic is a man named Joshua Block, or as most people know him, World of T-Shirts.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Got Louis Vuitton because I'm banned from the Gucci store. Yep, unfortunately.
Josh was born on August 7th, 2001. Not much is known about his early life, at least in definite terms. We know that Josh seems to have come up with the name World of T-Shirts sometime in 2017 when he launched his cafe press site that sold shirts, and later his merch, with such classics as I Love World of T-Shirts or What Does Band Mean? We also know that his mother sadly passed away in 2015, and so he went to live with his grandfather in Long Island, as his father was not in his life. While living in Long Island, he attended high school and achieved good grades while doing track. The first TikTok we have from Josh is from 2019. His grandfather is quoted as saying he joined in 2018, but he could have easily been mistaken or those previous videos are gone.
He started TikTok, I think, in 2018. In October of last year, they start paying their stars.
This early era of Josh's TikTok is not really discussed or archived somewhere that's easy to find, because TikTok doesn't have an oldest and newest feature, making it a nightmare to find old videos. This is especially prevalent with someone like Josh, who will post an absurd amount, often hundreds of videos a month, meaning that it doesn't take long for the site to simply break from trying to load these videos. The farthest I got before the site ceased to function was January of 2023. Thankfully, some helpful people appeared to have found his first TikTok. It's this video, and it's about 2 seconds and doesn't even show his face. If anyone had seen this at the time, they would have thought nothing of it. There was nothing special about this video, nothing that would reveal the madness that was to follow. Josh would make TikTok videos throughout 2019 and 2020 while he was still in high school, and as far as I can tell, these 2019 videos didn't receive any sort of significant attention. It wouldn't be until 2020 that his videos began to pop off. A variety of videos from that year would hit 1 million+ views. You might have even seen some of them, like this one.
I'll be honest, I don't really understand, but I fell down the stairs and now I got glue on my hand.
Or these.
Okay, how do you break a toilet like that? You're gonna fix it with ramen? That's so stupid. So these will change the color of your tongue permanently for weeks. We're gonna put these in my mouth and wait 10 minutes.
So it's safe to say that 2020 was the beginning of what looked like to be a flourishing TikTok career. 2021, however, is the real year, the one that brought him to my attention among millions of others, and it all started with New York. Before I show that viral video, it's best to discuss Josh's personality and obsession with New York. At least since 2014, Josh has had quite an interest in the Big Apple, and has frequently made it a part of his online personality, often calling himself King of New York. Almost all of his videos revolve around him in the city unless he's traveling to Mexico or Italy, both of which will be discussed later. But this interest in the city is a core component of Josh, and it's what makes him World of T-Shirts. This is also a good time to mention the fact that Josh has autism, and this too plays an important part in his story. So one should keep this in mind as we progress further into the video and encounter his alcohol abuse and Michael Quinn, a particularly unsavory individual. Now, onto that viral video of his.
Yeah! In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
So you've probably seen this if you use TikTok semi-regularly, or if you've seen its many cousins, as Josh really likes to do it over and over again.
In New York! Yeah, in New York!
With his account firmly cemented as viral, he would continue to create TikToks throughout 2021, many of which were popular and led to explosive growth in followers for Josh. Some of the jokes that he likes to repeat are going to come from this era, such as being banned from a store or an app. Usually Tinder, but sometimes Gucci too, and honestly I can't really tell you what the meaning of this joke is. He appears to have legitimately been banned from Tinder at some point in the past, many say for putting his Cash App in his bio, but the joke has gone on for so long I would say at least 1 to 2 years at this point, and it's well past its expiration date. The theories that some online have put forth is that it could be a form of vocal stimming, or that he may say it in order to feel comfortable in a social situation. This seems possible to me, though I am not a psychologist, and I doubt any of the people who suggested this are either. So while I personally think this is true, and it is interesting to ponder, please take it with a grain of salt. While his videos did do well and he was attracting an audience, it was also in 2021 that a couple of warning signs appeared. First, the accusations that he was charging people money if they wanted to take a photo or video with him. This appears to be true at least in 2 different instances, and Josh would later address it with this video. The second and far more controversial event was this stomping of a fish, which caused significant backlash, and Josh would eventually issue a half-hearted apology.
Okay, so a lot of people are upset about a leaked video of me stomping on a fish. First of all, the fish was already dead. The person who recorded me without my permission. They didn't pay the cameo, so they weren't even supposed to record me, but they posted it to set me up, so that they would have an excuse to try and cancel me. I did not kill anything. The fish was already dead.
To this day, I'm not sure what caused him to do this. It's such a sudden departure from his other actions, and with Josh's claim that someone set him up, it's hard to know what really happened. Though he had 2 controversies, I think one of the biggest events of 2021 was a trip that Josh would take to Cancun. Now, up until this point, despite his other incidents, Josh was still well liked and not considered some sort of lolcow type figure. He just seemed like a kid who loved the city and wanted to be famous. But this trip changed everything. This is because it was the first time that people saw how much Josh liked to drink. Now, he wasn't 21 at the time of this trip, which is the legal drinking age in America. In Mexico, of course, it's 18, making it a popular spot for Americans. I'm not sure if this is why Josh chose Cancun, or because it was a popular place to visit. That's not terribly far from New York by plane, though Canada's drinking age is 18 or 19 depending on the province, and Josh was 20 at the time, so who knows why he chose to go here. What we do know is that he proceeded to get plastered. And during this almost fear and loathing Las Vegas type incident, he stopped posting for a day or 2 and seemingly dropped off the face of the earth. I still can't figure out for sure what happened. Some say he forgot his phone in a taxi, and others say he was roofied and was out for a few days. Frankly, both of these are probably true, or could be. But this event is important as the turning point of Josh, and it's what separates old Josh from new. We went from a young man who loved boba and coffee and the city, to a man who drank until he blacked out and then repeated the process again and again.
Run out the door. Where do I go? Of course, to get some coffee and some boba tea. I was vomiting everywhere. Woo woo! Ah! I couldn't stop vomiting.
With that, we can close out 2021 and enter the new year of 2022. I mentioned earlier in the video that Josh was born on August 7th, 2001. This would mean that in the year 2022, he would be 21, an age that is especially important for Americans as it's the legal drinking age, as I mentioned earlier. While perhaps some had hoped that he would keep the binge drinking behavior on lock until he went on vacation, this was not the case, as it was soon discovered.
Look at how realistic it looks. You can even... I'll fucking shit at that Uber driver. That fucking asshole. He really had the audacity to cancel. I'll show him.
As people were watching TikTok lives and videos of him consuming an almost unending amount of liquor and cocktails, people were bound to get concerned. You can find hundreds of videos and livestream highlights of Josh completely out of it, wandering the streets of New York in such a state of inebriation that it's a miracle he hasn't been arrested for public intoxication. He began to get aggressive at people, and you can find videos of him threatening to sue people, which for some reason he likes to say a lot.
I'm gonna sue him, but he lives in England.
Oh no, forgive me for that.
How about I sue you? How do you like it?
He began to do things he wouldn't normally do, such as licking the floor of a subway car, a feat so disgusting it's hard to describe. But maybe the fact that they found the Black Plague down there should help you understand how vile this is. It also wouldn't be the last time he would lick the floor of somewhere. He's done it, I think, at least 3 times at this point. He also jumped into the Hudson River, which is the real-life equivalent of swimming in that lake from The Simpsons, and he also almost got hypothermia from it. And not even to mention the fountain incident, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Some of those events are from 2023, and we need to step back and discuss other things before jumping into that year and the future of World of T-Shirts. Sometime in 2022, Josh would meet a man known as Michael Quinn, a figure who, as far as I can see, is a net negative on Josh's life. Quinn is an odd fellow, and to inject some bias into this, he gives me terrible energy. This guy does not seem trustworthy in any way. He's made his money from owning a hot dog company and occasionally as a substitute teacher, where he claims he taught Pete Davidson. Yet despite flexing that he's a millionaire, he's attached himself to Josh pretty well and can be seen with him quite often.
So you very rarely see me discuss politics on social media. Every once in a while I want to discuss politics with someone of my intellectual capacity. Talking about Eastern Europe, Ukraine. So I usually just email this guy, his name is Noam Chomsky. And he usually gets back to me with a rational answer in about an hour.
And I think the best explanation of this man as a whole comes from this video.
Almost every high school has that. The popular girl asks the kid with Down syndrome if they want to go to prom with her. Everybody applauds the popular girl because, oh, how courageous of you to ask a Down syndrome kid to go to prom with you, since you're normal and the Down syndrome kid isn't. If you made that popular high school girl about 40 years older, made them really ugly and from New York and a man, then you would have Michael Quinn. And I felt like he was enabling Josh to get absolutely blackout drunk every day. He was paying for his alcohol.
A question that might have run through your mind while watching this video is, how does Josh afford all that alcohol? Drinks aren't cheap, especially in New York, and TikTok's Creator Fund is paying pennies on the dollar to its creators. Meaning that for someone as popular as Josh, there is just no possible way that he's making enough to not only spend on drinks every day, but also to earn a significant living. While it's true that Josh isn't paying rent as he doesn't live in the city, he does frequently get Airbnb or hotel rooms and spends money to travel to and from Long Island. Not to mention his multiple trips out of the country. I've seen comments that state that he has a job or had a job, but I can't see him working much or still having the job if he's spending most of his days getting obliterated in a bar. The other possibilities include an allowance from his grandfather, money from Quinn, donations directly from fans, or most disturbingly and probably most likely, lots of credit card debt. Though honestly, I would imagine that most of these play a part, but the constant talk of credit card debt is concerning and is a huge factor in the story. The rest of 2022 was predictable. Drinking, more drinking, and this dance, which Josh would do often during this year and into 2023, another one of Josh's endlessly repeated jokes. But all of that brings us to 2023, which has been the worst year so far. In early 2023, Josh would visit Italy, a trip that went about as well as you would expect. Lots of alcohol, which was then followed by Josh drinking fountain water and unsurprisingly vomiting in the streets later that night. Upon returning home to America, things are no better. There's more of Josh getting removed from bars and more drinking. There's also this tour thing with Quinn and Josh. Now, while this is billed as a World of T-Shirts tour, from what I've gathered, this really isn't the case. It seems like Josh sort of lingers about while being incredibly hungover and usually wearing a shirt that has day-old vomit on it, and Quinn does all the talking. But this isn't the highlight of the year, because something incredibly insane came up not that long ago at the time of this video. You see, while all this is going on, there's a beef brewing under the surface. Let me take you on a tangent of another TikTok figure. Daniel Larson is someone who needs a video of his own, but for the sake of time, I'll compress it down to this. He's someone with several mental disorders and access to TikTok, which has resulted in homelessness, harassment, trolling, and flashing himself on camera. More than once, by the way. Oh, and also the pencil incident, which I cannot show on YouTube, and I don't recommend you look up. In 2021, somebody was able to convince him that World of T-Shirts was saying things about him. Daniel frequently falls for things like this, and he began to say things back.
This message is to World of T-shirts. In New York.
This was all until about sometime in later 2022 when Josh would suddenly challenge Daniel to a boxing match. Michael Quinn would back up Josh with various different TikToks attacking Daniel.
Joshua, World of T-shirts. I still am waiting for the boxing match.
Over my dead body, pal.
This message is for Michael Quinn.
So what time are you arriving, Daniel? I'm gonna pick you up at the airport.
I would guess that Michael probably knew this was good for some free clout, which is probably why he and Josh went after Daniel. Unfortunately for them, they didn't realize that Daniel is not that type of person to just play along. Because somehow, despite being broke, homeless, and living on the other side of the country, he made it to New York sometime in early April 2023. It's believed that a fan flew him out and paid for his hotel, the length some people will go for a bit. Upon hearing the news that Daniel Larson was in New York, Michael Quinn claimed that not only had he been doxxed and had his address sent to Daniel, but he was going to be hiring bodyguards for Josh.
Who the gave Daniel Larson my home address? I don't need him showing up here. Alright, so get this. I'm hiring a security detail even larger than the one that Donald Trump has to defend World of T-shirts from Daniel Larson, as well as his belongings from Uber.
Some days later, Daniel would say that he had been jumped by World of T-shirt fans and was in the hospital, prompting a response from Josh, where he taunted him at the location of the incident.
So, this is what I look like after I got assaulted by 2 fans in New York City.
I made it in New York? I can make it anywhere. Unlike Daniel, he made it 10 hours and then he got punched in the nose here.
However, this really isn't the full story because what appears to have actually happened is that Daniel got into some sort of fight with a bodega employee. And while it's totally possible that outside people were agitating him to do this, it was not the fans who jumped him. Though saying jumped isn't really true either because he wasn't jumped. He got into a fist fight with a bodega employee and it appears that he threw the first punch. It also appears that that same day or a couple days after, Daniel would attempt to enter Quinn's apartment, but he was unsuccessful and stopped in the lobby.
Before 4 p.m., Daniel Larson attempted to enter the lobby of my home. So we stopped by my doorman, who called up to me on the phone. I could hear Daniel's voice in the background. My doorman told Daniel numerous times to leave.
As of now, that's been the end of their little spat, but both of them are still in New York, so something could still happen. Okay, and as I was editing this, something did indeed happen. So that boxing match is off, of course, but turns out that Daniel and Josh met up in New York, seemingly just hung out for a little while. Daniel also met up with Michael Quinn as well, and that all went good too, so I guess everything's all good now. Also, since I'm here, there was some other recent news, which is really disturbing. I didn't really know where else to put it, but it involves Josh and alcohol, shockingly enough. So this Reddit post came out, and apparently it's been verified by these people who were hanging out with Josh a couple nights ago, and he got so drunk he almost died. I'm actually going to read out this Reddit post because it is really disturbing and shows how bad his drinking has gotten. We finally found out that Josh's train he was supposed to take was out of our service or something, so we offered to book him a hotel. He was actually so drunk we were scared he would vomit sleeping, so we offered him to stay at ours. We carried him another 20 minutes and got to our hotel, where he immediately fell asleep. And Johnny and I sat on the top bunk worried. The next part was horrible and we don't want to get into it, but it ended with us getting Josh to an ambulance and a room getting charged with vomit. We stayed up all night not knowing what to do, how our plans turned to this, and if hopefully this is the moment that Josh is getting help. We got a call in the morning from the front desk saying our friend is here for his things, a captain hat, glasses, and shoes. We see a shoeless Josh smiling saying, "I passed out last night, didn't I?" Well, we were absolutely traumatized with what had happened. Josh took his stuff and just leaves with a smile like nothing ever happened. I wish we would have looked more into Josh, because if we knew all this, we would have never ever booked this tour in the first place. We didn't even want to post this update publicly. as we did want to talk about the downfall of the night for Josh. We are scared every day for him now, and we just don't want to be associated with this lore. We had no idea about any of this. We hope someone can step in and help Josh. Our mistake was streaming for too long, and due to everything was privated. The reason why we're writing this is because we were worried and want his viewers to understand from a third perspective. And then at the bottom it says, mod to verify that this is Jake. We messaged the user and have received verification photos. This information comes from Jake. This is a legitimate source. I know this segment has now gone on for several minutes, so I'm gonna get back to the original video. We're gonna finish it up and be done. But I just thought I would bring this all up because it's very important and it really kind of shows you how bad things are getting. Moving back to Josh, he would fly out to Florida later in April, and you'll never guess what he did while he was there. Yeah, surprise, surprise, he drank. And also started wearing this hat, which he now seems to wear a lot. Why? I have no clue, but he does like to wear it a lot. And that sort of brings us to the present as of this video, where even as I'm saying this, he's probably drinking.
What the hell?
Josh's story has been one of social media and its consequences on people. He went from a silly but interesting online personality who loved the streets and back alleys of New York to someone who drinks every day and every night. Even despite his supposed credit card debt, he hasn't slowed down one bit, and people are still tuning in en masse to watch, myself included. Maybe this will end in a final confrontation with Daniel Larson, or getting banned for good, or better yet, getting the help he desperately needs. Because despite the jokes, this cycle of debt and alcohol is going to end terribly. I can only hope this ends before Josh is at a point of no return. But who knows, because all you can do is watch. It's a crash in slow motion, and we can only wonder where it's going to end. From licking subway floors to vomiting in Italy, Josh has had quite an interesting few years. But for now, we can only wait to see what comes next. Thank you for watching.
It's tikka masala. Woo! That Indian heat. Woo! My mouth's on fire. Woo!